Hey everyone, welcome to Taqueando. I'm your host, Bill Esparza, and today I'm taking you to Tulum, to a special place for me. I know it's always a hot spot, but it's high season right now, and it's the holidays, so you can get on a plane. And joining me to talk about Tulum is Chef José Luis Hinostroza, the chef at ARCA. Definitely the best restaurant in Tulum and one of the best restaurants in all of Mexico. Now, everyone's heard of ARCA. It's on so many of these very famous lists right now. It's a 50 best restaurant. It's been a 50 best restaurant for a long time. All the Mexican lists, all the international lists. But among the current generation of young chefs, this generation, Jose Luis has a really interesting background. And I'm going to call him Jose Luis because we are personal friends as well as I'm a writer that writes about him and it goes to his restaurants. But he's born in San Diego, Pocho alert, but grew up in Tijuana. So he's very yin and yang, proudly Mexican American, but firm roots in Mexico. He's also one of the few US born chefs that has made a big splash in Mexico. And he's got this incredible pedigree. He's sitting here listening to all this, and I'm gushing because it's, I think, appropriate. He cooked at Alinea, Seyer de Can Roca. I mean, you can stop there, right? That's enough. But he was also a chef at Noma, not a stagiaire, not someone just hanging out and cutting a few vegetables. He was part of the R&D team. Chef Jose Luis was on the line, and he also developed dishes at Noma, Mexico that happened in 2017. And he was doing a lot of the cooking there. So if you were at that pop-up, that very famous pop-up by Chef Rene Redzepi, who's also a mentor of Chef Jose Luis. But that's where he had this epiphany and decided not to go back to Copenhagen, but to stay in Mexico, where he's forged an incredible collection of restaurants and restaurants that are doing something that's really unique and something that really could only happen from this combination of Mexican American and Mexican chef. So, welcome to the podcast, Jose Luis.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Bill. Thank you for all the compliments.
Okay. Now, for this very special episode, we're nearing the end of the year. This is episode 30. Chef Jose Luis is going to be with me here the entire episode, and we're going to even do the antojitos together. So here we go. At Taqueando, eating antojitos is a way of life from the world's most celebrated dining rooms to the gritty stands and storied market stalls that preserve culture. Life is short, so we must eat well. And here are this week's antojitos rundown. Chef Jose Luis is an antojitos king. We're going to get into that later. But I recently visited one of his newer restaurants. He's opening a restaurant every week. Not true, but it seems like it. And he just opened Mira Poolside, which is at my favorite hotel in Valle de Guadalupe. And that opened, when did Mira Poolside officially launch?
We opened in July, 15th of July, this year.
Right. So you opened in the summer, but now you guys have pivoted to for the cooler season. There's a very short, winter in Valle de Guadalupe. But obviously it's not poolside weather right now. So what's the name of the concept at this moment?
So 6 months out of the year, we're going to focus on poolside. Then the other 6 months is going to be fireside.
Okay.
The hotel is perched in it's very high up in a mountain. It's actually, I mean, this is not confirmed, but I think it's the highest point in Valle de Guadalupe. So the weather is very different than the weather you have in the vineyards. It's quite windy. It's quite the cold arrives sooner. The poolside concept is all these snacks just to be enjoyed along the pool.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So let's talk about, I was there with you when you were launching the concept. And so I want to talk about some of the bites I had there. And again, we're going to get more into, your real strong connection to antojitos later on in the interview here. But I just want to talk about the menu there. One of the things you get are these incredible shellfish, which is, Valle de Guadalupe. The municipality of Ensenada is home to Mexico's high-end seafood tradition for chefs, chef-driven seafood in Mexico, as opposed to the traditions of Sinaloa, Sonora, Nayarit. In Baja California, you have tradition, but you also have really where the innovation came in modern Mexican seafood. And so you have all this incredible shellfish there and products available. So let's talk about the dishes that you're serving there at Mira Poolside, which is now not running, but I just want to talk about those dishes.
So my style of cooking has always been inspired on the streets, inspired on eating with your hands. It's something that always I always say that you always read about the Italian chefs or the European chefs that talk about their grandmas cooking the pasta and so on and so forth. And my childhood was eating behind the baseball stadium, birria or tacos in the street, standing up. So that was my memory of the best food that I've ever tried. So I don't want to say that I want to make it better because it's already perfect,
Yes.
but I'm making it more creative. I'm making it in my style, and the way of eating with your hands. I think it's very Mexican. It's embedded in our DNA, and it's something I don't want to run away from. And it's also fun. So this fun component is always very important in any experience.
Yeah, I think that oftentimes, there's all kinds of great chefs in the Valle de Guadalupe, and I think you can go anywhere and get great shellfish, clams, prepared clams in a fine dining setting with flowers and beautiful things. But I really love your. Tell me about your aguachile, the clam with the aguachile.
So I mean, for us, it was a challenge to. I mean, I'm from Tijuana. I'm from the border,
Yeah,
an hour and a half away from Valle, but still, to arrive in the town that has the best seafood and try to be creative and imaginative and also put something out that when you try you just want to order another one. It was very challenging, and we have an aguachile made out of ferment of tomatillo, a powder made out of seaweed that's coming from the same ocean or the same sea. I mean, lemongrass oil, and it's basically like an aguachile with a little bit more punch. And we also have a green aguachile, sorry, a yellow aguachile that's basically made out of ferment of the chile güero. That's super super delicious.
I'm telling you. So, I've grown to trust your shellfish. Really, I mean, all your food. I can't say that you have. I ever feel like there's a weakness in the menu, something I should avoid. But especially the way you interpret the shellfish, you guys can experience that at Mira Poolside. There's all kinds of prepared clams with different liquids and chilies and oils and flavors and fermentation techniques. There are a lot of people that are experimenting, and a lot of that experimentation doesn't really hit on the flavor, the where the flavor is supposed to arrive. But you are making it's great acid. It does highlight the individual clam. You're using their reinas and chocolatas.
Queen clam, chocolate clam, oysters, and Catalina scallops, which are the
Oh,
base
which are
scallops,
big right now.
which are big
Yeah,
right now. Yes.
wonderful, right? And of course, you are doing tostadas at. Can you tell me about some of the tostadas you're serving at Mira Poolside?
We have a tostada of we call it mexo, which is a exo sauce with matcha, basically a fusion, and grilled shrimp. So I always like to mix it up a little bit, not follow the same standard as raw seafood. In Mexico, like as you know, raw seafood
Yes.
is and cold goes into the tostada, and then cooked is a taco basically. So we try to switch it up, and there's a lot of as you know Asian influence in Ensenada, so it was quite fitting.
Sure. Yeah, you have those condiments and some of those ingredients in your flavors, and so yeah, I really recommend Meet Up Poolside. I enjoyed every dish. I enjoy the playful experiments that you do and humorous takes on things that are meant to be fun. Food that's meant to be fun. Chef Jose Luis loves food that's eaten with the hands and not using silverware. So even when you go to ARCA, you're going to experience a lot of that. And so tell me a few things on this. So I've had Poolside. I really love it. And again, Mira Earth Studios, my favorite hotel in Valle de Guadalupe. And I love it because it's a luxury hotel that also really respects the Valle and the environment and is sustainable. maybe one of the most sustainable hotels at this point. So I love that part. And of course, you're sitting there and you're enjoying this beautiful, the hot tub, the view, the setting. You can enjoy yourself without hurting the valle. And tell me about the fireside menu a little bit.
As we mentioned, the hotel is it's almost it's not even. I mean, it's in Valle, but it's in the mountain in Valle, basically. So I mean, as you go up into the hotel, your ears pop. So we're in a very special location because you feel like you're in a mountain cabin during the winter, and then you feel you're having the best view in summer. So we basically adapted the whole setting. Instead of being focused around the pool, now it's being every single table is a fire pit.
Okay. And what are you serving?
All of the plates are in cast iron. And we developed basically something.
Yeah.
It's not a paella. It's not a paella dish, but it's like a flat circular dish with legs that you can place on top of your fire pit.
Yeah.
You still get the radiant heat, but then all of your food comes in the cast irons, and it remains hot as you're eating. Which we thought it was going to be a cool, like, how do you bring
Oh, wow. Okay.
this like camping element into the coziness of like a mountain cabin, and we came with that dish. We had somebody especially make it for us from Monterrey. And we're super proud. We're super proud of it because it's fun. It's fun. It's something that it's an experience that you definitely want to live, and also take somebody. So you can take your girlfriend and boyfriend, whoever, and it's just a cozy experience. Something that it's super intimate. You're in your room. You walk steps away to the restaurant, and then you have like an amazing fire pit with an amazing view. And then sunset hits, and then it's just darkness and the fireplace, which is quite hypnotizing. So, and also very cozy.
All right. Well, I have not tried that menu, but I trust that it's going to be amazing. I've been to enough of your restaurants at this point where not a lot of chefs have the range where they can do multiple concepts that are all interesting, and you've done a great job with that. So I'm looking forward to that. And since you're with me for the whole ride, we're gonna get into it. So
Let's go.
without further ado, vamos a taquear. And I am with a guy who loves doing that. So back to ARCA, which is your flagship restaurant. I think for people who haven't experienced it yet, it has a really interesting culinary identity. You just celebrated a big anniversary, right?
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you were not the chef that opened the restaurant. When did you take over?
I took over 2017.
All right. So right after Noma, Mexico.
Yeah, basically I was looking for something to do. I knew I wanted to stay in my country just because it had been so long since I was back, and Tulum blew me away. I mean, this part of Mexico blew me away. I'm from the north, so there's a lot of desert, and there's a lot of meat. But
Yeah.
as most Mexicans, I mean, you don't know all of the country because it's so vast, it's so big. So it was massive surprises. It was new ingredients. I didn't know that we had all this jungle, tropical ingredients. So it was very ignorant at the time when I left Tijuana.
Right. So during your time at Noma, Mexico, you were experiencing the region and getting to know some of the local restaurants. And at that time, I think Heartwood was the big story of Tulum. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a really really good restaurant.
Yeah. And I know it's still a favorite of yours. And so you end up staying, but this, you brought, I don't know if you've really paid attention to this, but I don't see lots of Mexican chefs that were born in the United States that really have a real deep understanding of Mexico and actually are cooking in Mexico, or ones that have come back. The only other one that comes to mind, honestly, is I'm not saying there aren't more, but is Chef Carlos Gaitan, who also does a great job
Correct.
on both sides of the border. I mean, he's one of the and I will say Roberto Alcocer over at Valle. but there's not a lot, right?
No, I mean, David Castro, he's American, and I mean, he's lived his life in Ensenada.
Right. So he was born in the U.S. Right. So he would be another one. But did he grow up on both sides as well?
He worked. No, he grew up in Ensenada, but then he went to work in New York. He went to work in also in San Fran. He spent a couple of years in the U.S. working.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the big difference is that he's cooking in a region that he grew up in. And you're back there now because you grew up in Tijuana. You're now back in Baja California with Mira Poolside and Mira Fireside. But what you bring to Arca using Caribbean seafood, Baja products, Maya herbs and leaves and techniques, and your cuisine is just it's like big acid. But what I see in really in common with a lot of Mexican American chefs is that you stick to a small number of antojitos, and you do amazing things with those with
Yeah,
tostadas. You're doing things
yeah,
with tacos. You're doing things with
yeah. Well, it's what I grew up with. So it always goes.
right. It's still it's and yes, and so like Mexican American chefs have this limited range of antojitos, but what you're doing with them is very different at Arca. And so, can you kind of talk about this identity of Arca as a restaurant in Quintana Roo that has so many influences?
Yeah, no, so I mean, in order to explain that, I have to explain basically my experience arriving to Tulum. And for example, we did a whole 3 months R&D with like cilantro from Oaxaca and cilantro from here and cilantro from Tijuana and cilantro from Monterrey and then onions from here. Basically, the staple fresh ingredients. We did basically a test of different regions in Mexico, and we selected the best ones. And then, of course, our biggest focus was using ingredients from the jungle, from Quintana Roo, from Yucatan, from the peninsula. And I mean, I remember very vividly trying star fruit here for the first time. And in my mind, I always knew that star fruit was a shit fruit that used to decorate buffets, and the hotels use it for pointless decoration, and it had no taste. That was my idea of star fruit. I think it was my second day. I take a bite of it, and it completely blew my mind. So it was like what is this? Like I have never tasted this before.
Right.
So that moment, I was like, you have to kind of forget everything that you think you know because you don't know anything. So that was a big moment for me, and it was like a big opportunity as well because with Noma, we did a lot of purveyor chains in order for the product. There's an amazing product that grows in the peninsula, but the discipline and the transportation to get to the restaurant does not exist, or it's very loose. So we went to the farmers, we went to the foragers,
Yeah.
we went to all the communities, and we told them basically we'll pay you more if you do it this way. If you pick it in this color, if you when you transport it, you wrap it in tissue. When turn on your AC when you're coming to deliver for me, so that the product. So we communicated what we wanted, and it didn't exist. I mean, everybody was shocked because even though they lived here, they have never worked with certain products. So for me, it was a big opportunity when Noma finished, and I was like,
Right.
I mean, I was a sous chef at Noma. I was gonna go back live in Copenhagen, um, and I was like, I I can't I can't let this opportunity pass. Like this will die, or these relationships will die. I mean, they're completely independent. They live
Right.
like they want to live, but I'm saying the opportunity of these connections was gonna die because nobody was gonna keep up with it. I was very scared. I was very scared because well, it's always hard to leave any place, especially if it's your mentor. And I mean, I know he appreciated me. I know he didn't want me to leave. So I mean, one day, I think it was 3 days before the pop up ended, and I'm like, I have to say something, you know. We had like a little vacation in between, and I'm like, I have to say something, you know. And then there was a chance. I'm like, chef, can I talk to you?
Right.
He said, yes. What's up? And I'm like, chef, I want to stay. I want to stay here. And he looked at me and he said, if you would have told me you were gonna go work at a 3 star in Monaco or a 3 star in Spain, I would be super upset. But because it's your country, I'll help you with whatever you need. So I've always had his support, his blessing, and he's helped me along the way so much. I feel very lucky, and I I feel like I kept on carrying, you know, all the hard work that we did in the research and development team, and also again the economic benefit to the providers, to the local communities is something that it doesn't entice them. Like they don't, of course, I mean, like everybody, we appreciate money,
Yeah.
but they have such a comfortable way of life, and they have, I mean, they have farmland, and they have their house, and they have a cenote walking distance from their house, so they have everything they need. They're completely independent. So the way of thinking of like, oh, I'm gonna do this because you're gonna get more money, it doesn't
Sure.
really get them excited. You know, you really have to have a connection with them. They really have to like you. You have it's a relationship. You have to keep up with it, and I thought that was very special. You know, because
Sure.
in a way, it's like I want to have that life. You know, like it's like so many times we think that we're gonna help the community by buying product from them, and the only one benefiting from buying product is us, is the chef. So with my head chefs, they're always like, oh, well, the one of the foragers doesn't answer,
Right.
and I'm like, oh, how many times have you called them? It's like, oh, once. And I'm like, well, we're the ones who need the foraged goods, not him. He's like, we're supposed to fight for that product. He doesn't care. He's living his best life, you know. So you really have to
Right.
put in the effort to keep these relationships alive, you know, and you have to adapt to them, because again, the one who's benefiting is the one buying from them, not themselves. So I always thought that was a very cool way of living. So
Yes, it's interesting. You know, it's funny because it's so often that the view of chefs, and also it's a very colonial view of like, you know, we're bringing
it is.
civilization, we're doing this for you. But what you're the way you're looking at this with the local Maya people is developing relationships and understanding that they're doing a favor for you is to me is like makes the most sense and is obvious, but it sounds very revolutionary too, that you know you would take that approach. And you're right, that's the only way you're going to be able to get these things. And it takes a lot of commitment.
Well, to properly represent the time and place, well, I mean, ARCA is in Quintana Roo. It's 100 meters away from the beach, but it's still in the jungle. So to properly represent and be unique, we have to cook and we have to gather ingredients that even for us living here are hard to get.
Sure.
So once you establish that connection, and once you establish that basically the provider to get those products, then you can create something truly unique, because you're injecting your creativity and of course your palate, and then you're working with something that even for me that I live in this jungle, it's hard to get.
Yeah.
Then I'm not competing with anybody. You know, I'm not. I'm standing out by being myself, by representing my time and place.
Yeah.
So that was also something very obvious. You know, like the more we limit ourselves to just working with ingredients from the peninsula, I get a cheat sheet because I'm from Baja California. So I bring seafood from Baja California because it's my childhood. That's what I grew up eating.
Sure.
But 95% of the ingredients that we work with are from the peninsula, and through that limitation is how we get creative. You know, because we don't have all the ingredients that we want. We only have a few, and we have to squeeze the shit out of the creativity out of them. You know, because
You're right.
it's like
That's really what it is.
no, and it's like looking at an avocado. You know, you don't just pick an avocado and, oh, I'm gonna work with the flesh. we burn the skin, and then we make a dashi out of the wood, and then from the leaves we make an oil, and then we could make a puree. So it's like every ingredient is so much more special, and because it's special, you see it with different eyes. You try to get the most out of it, and that's where, well, for me, that's when creativity is born, through necessity.
Well, that's your Noma background, because you're talking, when you talk about Copenhagen and the surrounding areas, that's a place that doesn't have ingredients, that they had to invent ingredients out of
100%.
foraging.
All this way of thinking is through Rene and through his teachings.
Yeah, and because when you came along to Arca at that time, all these, a lot of people, when they go to Tulum, they're not really experiencing the local ingredients. They're going to these.
No, no, no. I'll comfortably say that 98% of the people that come to Tulum, or 99% of the people that come to Tulum, do not really know what Tulum really is. People think that
Right.
the 5 kilometers of the beach is Tulum, and Tulum is, first of all, Tulum is a municipality, and if you sum up the 5 kilometers of beach, it's not even 1% of what Tulum really is. And
Right.
I always say this to I mean, we have a lot of haters, and I love fighting with haters. So I always dare to for them to tell me from the ARCA that we're 100 meters away from the ocean. We're 5 minutes away from a national park protected by the UNESCO, which is Siancan. It's like a connection of salt water connected to lagoons that the Mayans used to use to travel to Chichen Itza. That's like a that's already like a wow destination. On top of that, 5 minutes away from Arca, it's the only archaeological zone that's in the coast in this whole continent. The other one is in Malaysia.
Yeah.
So you have archaeological zone 5 minutes away from the restaurant. You have a protected park, national park protected by the UNESCO, and then 30 minutes away from Tulum, you have communities that don't speak Spanish because they're still living, like, they're independent. They don't need
Yeah.
the government was never there, so they don't need the government. They've always seeded and harvested their own ingredients, so
Sure.
they're covered. They heal through leaves and herbology. They have shamans. They're completely independent, so they don't need anything from us. So and those are the communities that I work with, and it's very magical to me because Tulum is, people think that I'm always talking shit because they don't know Tulum, but Tulum is such a live museum that you can still experience these people living in Quintana Roo. And I want to say this, the untold story of Quintana Roo, which is the whole coast, as we know, is completely lost to tourism. It's completely prostituted to tourism. But if you add all of the coastline, it's not even 5% of the whole state.
Yes.
You have 95% of jungle. And what happened when the Spanish came is that because of our reefs, they couldn't enter through Quintana Roo, so they had to go to Progreso and enter through Yucatan. That's why, of course, from the coast of Progreso all the way to Valladolid, it's all European culture, is religion, and it's architecture. You won't find any European architecture in Quintana Roo because it was never conquered in a way. And it was, I would say, Quintana Roo, the communities in Quintana Roo, the Mayans in Quintana Roo, were forgotten I mean, they were not conquered by the Spanish. They're forgotten by the government. The private sector does not look at the soil in Quintana Roo as precious because you can't farm. It's limestone. They've been forgotten by every single person that could have disrupted their way of life,
Right.
and because of that, they're in a bubble. They're like a lot of the recipes that they cook are vegetarian because they were never introduced to animal agricultural. There's very little mestizaje. There's very little mixed Spanish and Mayans, and it's so beautiful to see. It's very, very pure. It's a very pure place, and it's very weird to say that Quintana Roo has one of the most pure communities in Mexico, because of course you think of Quintana Roo and you think of club sandwiches, you know, you think of like bad pizza and club sandwiches, and it's
Ilios, a Greek restaurant that doesn't serve Greek food that has torches in the air.
yeah. So that's the story that I'm trying to tell. Exactly, that's the story that I'm trying to tell. I'm trying to tell that there's so much beauty and culture and tradition in Quintana Roo. But of course, you really have to come to want to experience that. You really have to come and want to go and discover these things, because it's very easy to just stay on the beach and have a beautiful beach vacation. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's so much more to Tulum.
Yeah, so I want to get into the layers with you because you've become a spokesperson for the region in a way that no one else is doing right now. And like, you're right. Tulum has haters, but it's funny because it's almost like it's like a self-loathing because people flooded the tourist zone and they went to the most trendy hotels
The most
and
expensive
trendy restaurants,
chain
and then they
beach
came
clubs.
back and bitched about and complained about Tulum. It's like, well, you're the one you're curating this experience, and you're also pushing the region to forcing the region to open more restaurants like Rosa Negra and Ilios and these places that are designed for the club crowd
Yeah.
that doesn't want to. They're too sophisticated for Cancun and the Senior Frogs crowd. They want to come and do that same thing, and I'm like, okay, you're paying a lot more money, but you're still doing the Senior Frogs tour. And it's almost like bugs flying into a bug zapper and getting pissed off about it.
100%. 100%.
So I want to talk to you about these layers because there is that. I know a little bit more. I know the hotel zone very well, and I have only a few places I want to go there. I mean, ARCA is one of a handful of restaurants that I'm really interested in the hotel zone. But then you have downtown, which also has its own touristic feel that's can be disappointing.
It's completely different.
But just like literally blocks away from there, you have these working class neighborhoods where you start to get into better cuisine, better local cuisine, and you're going one step further. And the layer of, we often think of Quintana Roo as not having its own cuisine, and it's that Yucatan dominates it, but it does. Outside of Tulum and the small towns you're talking about, the ones that are untouched, you're right. People still are living and cooking the way they've been cooking for thousands of years.
2 weeks ago, one of my very one of my best friends in the community, he's Mayan, born and raised. He's like, hey, I wanna show you something. When can you come? And I'm like, he lives next to one of my favorite cenotes, which is cenote with a pyramid inside of the cenote. When you go down, you're literally standing on top of the pyramid inside of the cenote. That's another story. And I'm like, oh, I'll go to the cenote, and then I thought he was gonna cook something, and
Right.
he wanted to share or for me to try. I get there, we go to cenote. He's like, okay. We start walking from the cenote, from my favorite cenote. We start walking about 30 minutes, literally like in the jungle, we're like fucking moving.
Yeah.
Trees were moving, like I'm getting poked by a million things, and we end up in a undiscovered archaeological zone. And I mean, I have pictures. Maybe I will send them to you so you can post them or whatever. But it's literally a pyramid.
Yeah.
It looks like the jungle has tried to eat it, and I mean, I would say 50 meters tall, and it's literally like you find like you think like of a Hollywood studio that did this, because it's like it's so ridiculous, and it's 30 minutes away from my house, well, 30 minutes away, and then
Very Raiders of the Lost Ark.
it feels that way, and I'm like, bro, it's like how crazy is this that I'm walking in an undiscovered archaeological zone because I'm such good friends with Pedro. That's success to me. Success is him wanting me to show that. Success is him or the community members inviting me to their quinceañeras or to their weddings. That's how I know I'm like I've made it, because well, I mean, what else can you ask for? Like these people give me the best ingredients. I of course have a very successful economical relationship with them, and they made me part of the community. You know, like they know that I respect it. They've come many times to the restaurant. They've eaten the food that I prepare with the ingredients because they're like, what are you cooking with this? Like with the grosella, there's like a very sour tree fruit that really nobody uses it, and we use it a lot. It's almost in all of our dishes.
Those are these are the jungle gooseberries you're talking about, right?
Exactly, the jungle gooseberries. Correct.
So this is interesting. You know what I again talking to you is kind of opening up a lot of ideas about my experiences at ARCA. And so you're going into these communities, but the one thing you're doing that a lot of people in your position would be doing, the one thing you're not doing is using cultural appropriation. You're not taking their dishes and putting them on your menu. You're taking ingredients, but you're still staying true to your Baja, and you're sort of using technique to do simple dishes, but you're not serving some dish that you got at a party, which I think would be a disingenuous type of relationship, right? So I really respect that you're getting inside, but you're not exploiting in that way on the menu.
No, no. I mean, they definitely teach me a lot. Like for example, they told me a story of how they used to hunt deer. You know,
Yeah.
that it was like a 16-man ordeal. It was like four hunters, and then the rest of the men were like basically moving the deer to go to hunt him. And the first thing that they used to do was, as soon as they killed the deer, open the skin up as to make a mat, like a mat in the jungle floor. And they used to just take the heart, chop it up, and jungle jicama, jungle naranja agria, and they used to eat a deer heart tartar with jicama and sour orange. And I was like, what? What
Yeah.
like what are you like? This is ridiculous. Like how cool is this? You know,
Right.
and I have a deer tartare. It's meat, it's not heart, and it's like these inspirations. And of course, I love telling the story because it's like the coolest
Yeah.
thing, yeah, you can hear. And I do get inspired by them, but I always I'm very excited to tell the story of where I got this idea from or where I got this ingredient from, and it's I mean that's I think what keeps keeps it exciting. No, like the more you dive into community, the more you learn.
So again, I think for young chefs listening, I think chefs should be in the United States, young Mexican American chefs should be looking to what you're doing at Arica. They should experience it. But beyond just going and having the tasting menu and saying what you liked and didn't like, but seeing what you're doing with the food. And so I want to talk about what I think is the best gallo de hacha in Mexico. You've been to Valle de Quino, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you've had that experience there, having the gallo de hacha on the beach, where it's basically
Oh,
clamato, and they throw a bunch of other different clams in there, and they call it vuelve a the.
it's so funny though because Mexicans use a lot of ferments
Yeah,
in seafood and in their cooking. We it's just store bought ferments.
right. It's store
The only
bought
thing that we're
ferments.
doing, the only thing that we're doing is making our own ferments.
Right. So that dish is incredible, right? Because the product, and it's also the setting. But really, Mexico has a product based ceviche. But what you're doing, I want to break this down. I want to talk about how you layer this dish. So you're bringing in callo de hacha from Sonora, right?
Yeah.
I want to know how you're keeping it so fresh. So I want you to talk about how you're bringing in this callo, and you're using this jungle gooseberry as a base and making this and building this incredible layered dish that gives me the same sensation I get in Valle de Quino, but and I don't even want to use the word elevated. It's just a different flavor presentation. So talk about that dish.
I love that you say that.
Yeah,
I love that you say that because it's not elevated. It's just different. You know, I hear people that always say like, "Oh, I want to give I want to elevate street food."
it's
It's like you
perfect.
can't elevate it. It's already fucking perfect. You know, you're only gonna fuck it up if you try to elevate it. Well, the way that we see antojitos or the way that we see street food,
Yes.
we're inspired by it. So the way that we dissect it is like like a taco. Let's say a taco or a tostada or whatever you want. So you have this crunch component, which is like your vehicle. Then you have this acid component. Then you have this umami component. Then you have this the protein. So it's like, okay, it's almost like a cheat sheet, you know. It's like, okay, so I'm not gonna use citrus
Yeah.
because, well, everybody uses citrus, and I have this amazing sour gooseberry, you know. So okay, so we replace the acidic component for the gooseberry. Then of course, what is my umami component? Usually is either soy sauce or Worcestershire sauce
Right.
or Maggie. Okay, so we're not gonna use Maggie. I mean, I love Maggie. I love Worcestershire. I love
Yeah, we love it.
soy sauce, but I'm not gonna use it in my dishes. Okay, so we ferment green star fruit, and we use that sour ferment to give it the umami, and then also we use a powder of sea lettuce, which is a variety of seaweed coming from Baja California, to combine those two to give us like a green soy sauce, basically.
Yeah.
And then the crunch component is always corn, right?
Yeah.
We don't use a lot of corn. We actually only have corn in one of the dishes, not because we love corn.
Yeah, of course.
I open a molino because I wanted to do a small part on fighting the Monsanto, you know, and trying to
Sure, sure.
push that. So I love corn, but corn is a very jealous ingredient. He takes control of the whole party, even if there's a little bit in it. You know, it doesn't have to be a lot of it. So he's the protagonist all the time. He's an corn is an egotistic ingredient. So, and we're in a very hot climate. You know, so
Yeah.
how can we give you that crunch element that will, first of all, be tasty. Second of all, be creative, and third of all, give you that pleasure component of the crunch.
Right.
So from all the scraps of the callo, we did a callo scallop chicharron. So it's these things like Mexican food is, you grew up eating very tasty food, and it's done very well. I almost feel like I'm cheating because I'm just like looking for ways of replacing, these climaxes in the palate that you always need to have in order to, after that first bite, salivate and make you want to take another bite. So we're just dissecting Mexican street food and injecting our creative side into it,
Yeah.
and that's it. That's it.
So it's just like it's a zero waste dish. You're using the
It's a
what
zero
people
waste
normally
dish.
throw away from the
Yeah,
the
like
callo,
the white ligament.
right? And you're
That
making your
that's
crunch element with that. And
yes.
when you see this dish, the vibrant contrast of colors, you get that late what a lot of traditional Mexican food gets with like fats and oils separating and making different colors. You have it's beautiful colors,
Yeah, the Mexican version or the original version, it gets it from cucumber and cilantro and scallion,
right?
and then we get it from the green star fruit and the green seaweed powder, and the green gooseberry. So it's just dissecting and analyzing it, and then replacing, and of course a lot of tasting. We I think
Yes.
a lot of tasting, a lot of tasting, a lot of tasting, a lot of tasting. I think in order for you to be a good cook, you need to be a good eater. You need to have, have eating experiences, not just only, not just only tasting, but having like sit down and, like when we went to have the fuck, I forgot the drink in Compton,
Oh, the pajaretes.
the pajaretes, like you need to dive into like food experiences, and then you can extract things from it. Maybe, maybe,
No, I love that. Look, I know that like you're one of the busiest people in terms of travel. You are in one part of the world or the other every other day. But I do love the fact that you got up at what time in the morning to drive and meet me in Compton.
and it was the worst because I said I'm not gonna go out because I have to wake up like at 5 to get there, to get to LA at 7. And of course, something happened with a girl and I'm like, okay, I ended up passing out like at 3:30 in the morning, and I'm like, fuck, I cannot not go. So I just woke up super hungover. Drove to LA, but it was worth it. You know, it was like it was one of the most bizarre experiences, but enriching at the same time.
Right.
Weird, funny. It was like it had everything. You know, it was like roosters walking around.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
Yeah, and this, and I think this is, all the stuff we're talking about here. This is really about the idea that the best thing a chef can do, any chef, doesn't matter whether you're Mexican American or Mexican or raised in Mexico, the idea of taking an experience and not just trying to duplicate that experience and change a few things, but actually using it as inspiration to do something else and to use food in a different way. And like, I love that we're having this conversation because now I'm thinking about your very famous soft shell crab taco, where you get the crunch from the amaranth
I'm in flower, yes.
and not from the corn of the tortilla. So a lot of people will say, well, that's not a taco because there's no corn. But I think you can't make that dish as amazing as it is, and it does shift the focus to the crab and highlighting that ingredient rather than eating corn, which again we both love, but
We all love, but also it's like the setting, you know. It's like again time and place. It's like okay, I mean it's quite cool in the restaurant. We have a lot of fans. We have like a breeze going, but it's hot. It's the Caribbean. We're fucking it's in the jungle. So it's like I don't want to eat a corn in every course or not even have it. I don't want to eat anything heavy. You know, like we use very little dairy. I'm a dairy fanatic. I love butter. What's better than
yeah,
butter? More butter. You know, like I love dairy,
yeah,
but there's there's a time and place for everything, and we're in a very special place where you don't need to have these carb heavy, and we don't do it because of any sort of trend, or we don't do it because we're trying to be
yeah,
whatever. We use it because I'm surrounded by coconuts. Literally, I'm surrounded by coconuts. So it's like, am I going to use cream or am I going to use fucking coconut cream that I have growing in front of me?
yeah,
And then, like for example, the corn. The corn is like you don't want to eat heavy corn products when you're sweating, and you it's like it doesn't go with the temperature. Doesn't even go with it. It's like you really have to adapt to the time and place. So I I make food that I want to eat
right,
in a hot, humid environment, which is fresh, acidic, light, low carb, no dairy, and the best part is that we created the dishes, and then we realized we didn't put carbs or
yeah.
dairy in it. It wasn't even like it wasn't even a plan.
Well, the thing is that it's really this idea that Mexican food can be so, obviously it is a corn-based cuisine. And, there's going to be people that are going to hear this and they're going to start in the haters are going to say, well, then that's not Mexican. Well, I would say that then you don't know Mexico. Why don't you go to Tabasco? Go to Tabasco. They don't even eat tortillas
Exactly,
there. They
exactly,
eat yuca and they
exactly,
eat tubers.
exactly. It's all plátano macho. Exactly.
And so we have Mexican states where corn is not the focus. It is, yes, as a national symbol, no doubt. But what you're doing is shifting and making the ingredient more important and really honoring street food, not the idea of corn so much. It can also, I mean, I'm not going to say it's a cop out, but it's very easy to make a sope and put some seafood on it and a nice salsa and call that a dish. You're striving for something different. That's also great. But like your crab flauta, which I love this over the top presentation you have. That I look at your food sometimes as thinking, okay, this guy is just going off the rails, but it works, and that's a wonderful place to be when you can really play and do outlandish things that still are delicious and still are fun. Your crab flauta, what is the starch there?
It's yuca. It's yuca fried in.
So that's yuca.
It's yuca fried in smoked clarified butter, and then the filling is basically we get a whole bunch of crabs. We make a crab stock, and as it's cooking, we add whole baked coconut milk. so it reduces like the crab stock with the coconut milk, and it forms like
Yeah.
a nectar of crab coconut bisque. We pull out the meat, we smoke the meat, we reduce that to like a syrup almost, and then we folded it back in, and we fill the flauta with it. And again, no dairy. Well, there is carbs, but there's no. Um, yeah, uh, it's a one biter. It's a one biter.
It's a one, and it's a beautiful spider, the marciano, the spider crab,
Correct.
and you get the whole crab head
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
table,
yeah.
and with his little flauta, that you'll never miss the corn. But again, if you're thinking yuca is strange, look up tortilla de yuca Tabasco. Don't,
Correct.
don't test us. Don't test Jose Luis and I. You can't.
And again, after I finished Noma, the first thing that I did is like I thought I knew Mexico. I don't know anything. I'm a fucking ignorant
No one knows.
pocho.
No one knows it.
So I'm like, okay. So the first thing that I did a 3 month journey from. I flew from. I was in Tulum, of course, finished Noma. Took a plane to Mexico City, and did a 3 month tour, focusing on indigenous communities from Mexico City, Puebla, Oaxaca, Chiapas, Tabasco, and the peninsula. Only focusing on indigenous communities because I was like, after my experience in the peninsula or in Quintana Roo, I was like, you have no idea what you can what inspiration you can get from a country, what ingredients you can get from. Because in the beginning, when I stayed, I was gonna do like a restaurant that, well, it's my life project actually. At
Yeah.
some point when money is not important, I'm gonna open this project because it's a very important cultural focus that um, it's called Natal. It's a beautiful project. Anyways, I was gonna open a concept of focusing on indigenous communities and indigenous food and beverage, indigenous community members. So it's gonna be like an art residency, but for F&B community members. So they'll come, they'll teach us their forgotten seeds, their forgotten recipes. We'll document all that.
Something that highlights the community, that highlights the communities themselves.
Yes, but they give us something. They give us all this information. They give us all these traditions. They give us the seeds. We document everything. We protect it, and we teach them costing, sanitation, marketing. We teach them what we can, what we can. I mean, they're beating me with the cooking, right? And they're beating me with all this tradition and culture. What can I give to them? Okay, well, let me tell you how I'll give you.
So this is an attempt to give back.
Yeah, let me give you what I think I can help you with, which is running a successful business.
Right, which is what you learned from Rene Redzepi, from your mentor.
Correct. Well, from Rene and from my dad. My dad's a very successful businessman, and he's a ruthless businessman, and he was always he's also, of course, somebody that's shaped my
Yeah,
life
right.
quite aggressively.
All right, so you got to go to ARCA. It's been around for 10 years. It's now an institution with a new sense of purpose that's continuously evolving. And again, we want to encourage people to go to Tulum. I know how to have a great time in Tulum. Tulum is what you make of it. So let's tell our listeners here how not to get screwed in Tulum, because there's a lot of negative news out there. So what are some of the ways people can avoid things like what's going on with taxis, and really just like where should they stay, and what are some tips that will make their experience a lot more meaningful?
Yes, I mean, so again, it's good that you said Tulum is what you make of it, and basically, it's if you really avoid taxis, you'll have like 50% of the issues solved.
Yeah.
Just rent a car, go drive wherever you want. The day that you're gonna party and drink, do take the taxi. I mean, you're not gonna escape the fee, but I mean, if it's only one time, it's worth it. I always recommend if you're gonna stay on the beach road, without a doubt, I always say Casa Malca is one of my favorite hotels. If you're gonna stay on the beach road, and also La Zebra, it's Grupo Colibri. They have La Zebra.
La Zebra is great. I love that place too.
La Zebra is great, yeah. mi amor, and also mezzanine. If you're gonna stay on the beach, if you don't wanna spend so much, then I would definitely stay at an Airbnb in town. And if you rent a car, you won't have an issue driving anywhere.
What about scooters? So I do scooters. Is there a company
Scooter?
you recommend?
No, actually, no. I don't have one in mind, but there's plenty of options, and
They're
they're
everywhere.
not even they're not even a quarter of the price of the car, or not even a tenth of the price of the car. So that's good.
And you can park them anywhere. So you will. Let's make sure we tell people that if you do rent a car and you go to the hotel zone, parking is going to be paid or limited. So scooters you can kind of just push in a corner off to the side. They do have spaces
Correct,
for it, so that's something to
correct.
consider. The what's where are the best Airbnbs? Is it Aldea Sama?
Aldasama, I would say, without a doubt, it's a new complex. It's very well built. It's very safe, but it's still very
Very
green. I mean,
chill.
it's still surrounded by jungle. So definitely stay in Aldasama. And eating wise, I mean, I'll tell you where I go to eat day in day out, which is Italdo. Italdo is one of my favorite bakeries in Mexico. To be honest.
So tell people don't realize. Tell us about this. This guy worked for Marco Pierre White. He was at Michelin star restaurants.
Yeah, he's I always call him like a mad scientist, because he's a baker, so he always looks like I don't know why I don't know why, but he always looks so super stressed out. But he's always like doing something creative and doing like always like gives me things to try. So I really appreciate his energy,
Amazing bakery.
and I really appreciate that amazing bakery. I mean, I lived in Europe, and I missed croissants so much until he arrived, and now I can eat croissants every single day. Besides Italdo, I would definitely do, if you want to do traditional, go for Honorio. It's breakfast tacos. It's breakfast tacos for the workers that go to work at 5 in the morning. So
So it's
they
cochinita, lechon.
cochinita lechon, recado negro, sorry, relleno negro. So they bury the meat underground at midnight, and they take it out. Or no, it should be earlier. It should be around 10, and they take it out at 5 in the morning. So the closer you are to 5 in the morning, the better it's going to be. So plan that,
Okay.
definitely plan that visit. Negro with la coche. It's two of my ex head chefs. They finished their time at ARCA. They opened Negro with la coche, one of my favorite spots as well. I just recent.
Negra Huila Coche. I have to say, every time I send people there, they flip. They love the place.
No, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful setting, and they have a beautiful story. They started with a little local, and as they were getting more busy, they were renting the other locales, and now they have a massive space, and they're doing very well. I'm super proud of them.
Yeah, and if you
And
want to eat corn, and
if you want to eat
you want to
corn,
get into
go
some
to Negro
corn,
Huitlacoche.
that's the
Yes,
place to go.
that's the place to
Yes.
go. 100%. It's a night tacos. So it's dinner tacos. I just opened a taqueria. It's Tijuana style tacos in Aldea Sama actually, so it'll be close to your Airbnb. And
What's the name of it?
Taqueria La 86, so 86. It's
Okay.
a wink to industry, when something's done or canceled.
Yeah.
It's like it's
When you're
86.
86 something.
Exactly. So it's a taqueria for the industry, because everybody, there's amazing cochinita, and there's amazing lechon. There's amazing
Yeah.
tacos from here, but besides that, the quality is not so good of the other tacos. So we were complaining for so long. We said, "Fuck it, let's just open a Tijuana style taqueria." So it's doing very
Okay.
well. I'm very very proud. And Mestiza is my izakaya. It's five. It's been 5 years actually. We celebrate 5 years in December, and it has a big gourmand in the Michelin Guide. And you can go have, if you're tired of eating Mexican food, which can happen after a week of just eating Mexican food, you can have a beef sando or some fried rice, and it hits the spot.
Yeah. And yeah, I have to say I'm not. I've told you this. I'm not a huge fan of Mexicans doing bows and banh mi and doing all this stupid bullshit. But and I don't like fusion, but I did enjoy your restaurant, and I think you have a nice approach to it. It's a worthwhile place to go. Something that I would say that I went in thinking I wasn't going to like it, and I did enjoy it. And then finally, what's your go-to fine dining restaurant in the hotel zone besides Arca, of course?
No, I mean a restaurant that I really admire and a restaurant that I really like and a chef that I really admire, Le Chic in Cancun. He's one of the old school. He paved the way to young chefs to come and do what we do. So, Jonathan Gomez Luna, very 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 talented chef.
Oh no, it's an amazing experience. And again, another interesting restaurant in the peninsula that has, I would say, it's very
Yeah.
modernist to the point where some people would say, oh, those that's old, passe technique. But it's such an amazing experience, and he does it so well. I
Well, he executes so well. Yeah, it has a bad rep because so many chefs try to do what he does and they do it wrong. So you have this negative
Yes.
connotation to that technique or to that whatever it is.
Yes, it's the people that have played it out are ones that are doing it
Exactly.
badly. He is doing this like modernist. He's still doing lots of modernist technique, but he does it so well, so beautifully, and tells a story. So I agree. So that's not in Tulum.
That's not in Tulum. Harwood is not fine dining, but I would definitely recommend it. Eric Harwood, I think the restaurant's been open for 20 years. He's been spearfishing and gathering tropical fruits since everybody arrived to Tulum. So and it's very tasty food. It's open fire cooking and amazing seafood from the peninsula, amazing tropical fruit, acidity, beautiful.
Yeah, that's a good list. Okay, so um, right now, chef, congratulations on your 10 years at Arca, and of course, please tell us where everyone can find your food right now besides Arca.
Arca in Tulum, Arca, Mestiza, and Taqueria 86. Then if you stay in Xcaret in Playa del Carmen, you can try my food there in a restaurant called Arenal. In Guadalajara, you can try my food in Mecenas, which
Which
is
is an
Project.
amazing bar. It basically became an instant classic as soon as it opened. So,
It did.
I recommend that bar, Mecenas in Guadalajara. Okay, go.
And then Mira Poolside and Fireside in Valle, and Hotel El Ganso in Cabo San Lucas.
All right. And by the way, so get to these spots. Chef Jose Luis only has a few more restaurants in him, and then he's going to start giving back, and he's going to retire at a young age, and you
No,
know,
I'm very proudly gonna die working. I know
I know
it.
that.
There's no other way.
Yeah, it's really something what you're doing, and I think people need to experience Arca while you're Arca. You are in your prime right now as far as what you're doing with the cuisine, the tasting menu, the ingredients. It is
Thank you.
evolving, but it's a perfect time if you've never been to Arca, one of the most important chefs of the current generation that really holds respect among your peers and the older guard. And it's kind of amazing that you've been able to accomplish that, where not all young chefs are as accepted with what they're doing as you are. So, man, it's always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much, Bill. And likewise, and yeah, whenever whoever's listening to this, if we're coming to Tulum, if you want to message me on Instagram, I always answer. So if you need any questions, if you need any advice, I'm a very proud Tulum ambassador. So hit me up if you need any questions. If you have any questions.
Okay. Thank you for tuning in to the Taqueando podcast this week. And be sure to tune in next week for another episode. And please leave us a rating or review wherever you listen to your podcasts.